Welcome to Accounting High.
With most firm owners, it's like we're taking meeting to meeting. Well, what do you charge for bookkeeping? Okay, well, let me get you a proposal or let me get you a quote. And we don't really talk about this in-depth stuff.
That was the essence of what I was doing, and I didn't know how to articulate that, and I didn't know what my team wasn't doing in sales because they were just focused on
what are we going to do for them? What's the proposal? What's the quote? Did they sign the engagement letter? Did they not? It's very transactional.
Oh, very.
Remember, if you want to get on the varsity team, it's about the relationship that you establish.
Yeah. You know what? It's Friday at Accounting High. Make varsity, no doubt. Play on, players. Play on. Okay, drop the verse. It's going down, welcome back. Team of coaches are ready to teach promotional price packaging. No doubt, Accounting High, put it down. Never about the numbers in accounts, a bot can figure that out. Tell me who got hot takes and tips. Attracting teams like Coach Mac did. Price and fear patterns, mindsets, proactive. Still moving this forward with my homies Matt, Queen, Dave, Kenji, the original coach trainers. Outsource teams now, good lord. Creating cultures with real owners, wow. Systems for when you're not around. Cover much ground. Stop breathing, slow down. Getting paid is the only way. Each and every day, recurring models great. Get ready, open your mind. Why? Learn, empower your firm, free your time. East side to the west side, pushing value price at Accounting High. We got tips in our bag, stacking up your cash. Practice with the top of the class. Clients need service because people are the purpose. Lace up, it's like phys ed, it's immersive. Friday at Accounting High, let's begin. You people are the purpose. Make varsity, it's time to level up. Level up. People are the purpose. Make varsity, it's time to level up. Level up. You people are the purpose. Make varsity, it's time to level up. Level up. You people are the purpose. Make varsity, it's time to level up. Lace up.
Introducing the star of our show,
Scotty and the Pitch Queen.
We're gonna have a problem here.
I was going to call you Coach Michelle or Coach Weinstein. The
Coach
Abundant
Pitch
Coach.
Queen.
I like the Pitch Queen. Yeah, that's what I went with.
Coach Queen.
Coach Queen. I was going to say Coach Queen, and then I thought that it's going to be way out of context. Nobody's going to get that one yet. But we're on part 3 of how to make varsity, so you should know our coach at this point. We got Michelle Weinstein back, the Abundant Accountant, the Pitch Queen, and our coach for the day.
Well, thank you for having me again and working on tip number 3 so you can all play at the varsity level and never have to be even on the bench. You'll be one of the 5 starters on the court and never have to sit out on the bench, never be on the JV team.
Not on the freshman team or the
not
JV
on the
team.
Exactly. Yeah.
We got the freshman team, the JV team, and varsity, and this is level 3. This is part 3.
This is part 3. So the first one was check your sales beliefs and your self-beliefs. Do you remember the second one?
Yeah, it was qualifying.
Yes.
Qualifying the client and making sure you're working with the right people. You got the right people and the right team. And
yeah, because you need to know who qualifies to play the game with you. And today we're going to talk about setting up your communication to win. And I think this is probably one of the most overlooked parts of the enrollment process, sales process, whatever you want to call it, and being able to play at a varsity level is because a lot of people miss the part about building the relationship and the rapport with a client. We just dive right in. We're busy going from meeting to meeting. We're completely overwhelmed. We are like, we don't have any more time. And you're just bouncing around. And we're like, we just need to get to the point. You know, with your clients, you're like, let's just go over the numbers. Let's just go over with what you need and we'll get to the rest later. But in reality, to build a good relationship, it's the foundation is the rapport that you build with that client, and that builds the relationship. So what is rapport? I just want to share the definition. It's basically the connection and the trust and the understanding that you establish with another person, be it on the phone or if you're still doing in-person meetings, in person, but it's building some sort of common ground.
So you're finding a connection, or you're finding some way to
Correct.
connect with them. And
Yeah. So when you're selling, and maybe you can think about this, Scott, from when you had, or when you were more in your firm on the day to day, people buy from people, but they also buy the relationship. In our world, we are service providers. We're not another bottle of vitamins that you can find on Amazon and compare just the price. But I think a lot of people here feel that they're seen as a commodity by their clients. They feel like they're underappreciated. They're taken advantage of. Why do all my clients ask me for a discount? And I could go on and on and on. But at the end of the day, people buy from people they know, like, and trust, and they buy relationships. And without rapport, there is no relationship, which would result in no new clients or no clients at the right fees that you truly want to charge. So it's really that simple. If you think about building rapport, there are some words that might help you out to share when you're talking to a prospect. And it could go something like this. And some of the words that I think are key to remember or maybe even write down are share, explore, promise, discover, invite, help, and together. So what that could look like when you're meeting with a new prospect, before you get into any details, let's say you're selling them a bookkeeping cleanup project. That's really what they need. You could say, as we explore solutions together for your business and your messed up books, I want to invite you to share some of the biggest challenges that you've had with your previous firm or with your previous bookkeeper. And as we discover those, I just ask that you promise to share whatever questions that come up for you. And that will help me recognize if I'm the right person to help you. And if not, I'll make sure to get you in the right direction to get you the support that you need. So that could be a starting conversation opener. And then you could go into some rapport building, which is building common ground. So it could go like this: Scotty, I can tell that you put in a lot of effort with this podcast and your intros. What was it like for you? Like, what stemmed and created this idea that sparked the interest for Accounting High?
do you want the real answer to that right now?
Yeah, we're role playing. We're
Okay.
showing exactly how to build rapport with someone.
Dope. All right. So, that's a long answer though. So what
So in a real meeting with
Yeah.
a client, you want them to talk a lot. So that's great
Yeah.
that you have a long answer. But for today's purposes, why don't you give us the 30-second version?
well, I wanted a fun way to teach people something without it seeming boring. That's the other word. So I wanted a fun way to teach how to be a business owner to accountants.
Got it.
So
But without being boring and with fun, right? Did I get that
Yes.
right? And that's so cool because I had a similar thing in 2018 when I started the Abundant Accountant podcast, that I wanted to help people learn sales and make it fun. And I think bringing fun to the industry was something that was missing. So that's so cool that you did that and that you're really thriving on the fun aspect. So right there, I found something that Scott said that was the same interest that I had.
you connected it to something that was personal to you. So then I knew that you were like you understood me. You
I
heard me.
understood you, but there was something real too. So you can't make stuff up here.
Right.
I wanted to have people, every person and firm owner, and if it's not you, then send me an email. I am at thepitchqueen.com because I want to know if you love sales. But I have yet to meet a bookkeeping, tax resolution, CFO services, whatever. Go, Michelle, I love sales and I'm so good at it. Like, no firm owner goes, oh, I have to actually be a 24/7 salesperson. I never thought about it that way. So this skill is just about finding common ground. Now, if in the answer, Scott, that you just shared, there wasn't anything in common with me, I would have just kept going and asked you some more questions until there was some sort of connection point.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
Okay. So you want to be aware of some language and learning styles that might match or might not. So a few learning styles, there's, I think, 7 of them, but I'm going to just point out the main 3. There's visual learning styles or language communicators. So they say, I see that, or that part looks really good to me. Or you might hear them say, oh, I can't wait to show you that part. So I see, it looks good, and I can't wait to show you are all visual type words, cues. Okay, now there's also a kinesthetic language learner or listener. They might say something like, let me think about it, or let me get a grasp on it. And then you've got auditory, which means if you can't tell they're visual or kinesthetic, then they're probably an auditory person. But they might go, oh, I hear you. Oh, yeah. I heard that. So let me ask you another question, and then we'll see which one Scott is. He's either going to be more visual, kinesthetic, or auditory. So I'm going to ask you the similar question. So when you thought about starting this podcast and making it really fun for the industry to learn, what were some of the things that you thought about that you really wanted to bring to accounting and tax firm owners?
Now I know I'm being studied, so I'm like,
I know. Just
careful.
saying.
But I love this. No. I love this ways because there's subtle cues usually too.
Mm-hmm. Building rapport is listening for subtle cues. You become a really good listener when you get the art and the science of sales.
Yeah. And I just saw the book I'm reading is The Art and Science of Hip Hop. Like I noticed that because the last time when we talked about the art and the science, I meant to bring that up today too.
Well, see, and you just made a good connection point. So you just built rapport with me and probably didn't even realize it.
Dope. So what I'm hearing is you're
Thank you for making it obvious.
But I was thinking about it as you were saying those, because I just went over the 7 different styles too, and I was looking through my book to find all 7, because literally like last week I went over with somebody.
Oh, that's
all
hilarious.
7, and they were going over them with me, and I'm all 7. Well, at least I think I could relate to all 7, but as I'm listening and I'm hearing from you, maybe I'm more of an audio one, because I say that.
Yeah.
I say I see or I say I hear a lot of things. That's usually typically.
So you might be a little bit of both, but for most accounting firm owners that I talk to that want to learn sales and have a challenge with pricing and having that confidence to charge higher fees and gain high quality clients, most of them say the word feel. So I'm working with a lot of more kinesthetic. I don't have a lot of firm
I feel you a lot to somebody when they say something to relate. I say, I feel you. I feel you.
Again, these are just little tidbits to start keeping your ears perked for, because it's a great way to build rapport.
Yeah.
And I'm just giving you some good questions to start and having you think about, where can I connect with this person? So I'll give you another example, because today's conversation is a lot just about examples. So Scott, I know that you have a family and, you love to do these wraps, and you start Accounting High, and you've got a firm, like you've done so much. What is your vision for your whole brand and where you want to take things? Actually, let me make it a little more specific.
Okay, yeah. Where
Where you want to take things, and how will this provide for you and your family? Like, what are those things that you love to do with your kids?
So I want to use this as sort of a platform to then do something like this with my kids. I want to do a YouTube channel with them and do something fun with them and do rap stuff with them. So I got an idea of calling my son Raptor Seuss and doing Dr. Seuss books and doing little raps of the books, so he could learn how to do these things, because he likes music and he likes YouTube. So and I want to do more raps, so I figured a way to bridge that, and why not? So we were.
Yeah.
I'm still
That's
talking
awesome.
about it. I haven't quite done it yet, but that's a way to spend some more time with them and make it fun.
So it seems like the kids are really important to you, but also having them have the entrepreneurship mindset and really creating something from scratch is really important to you.
Yeah, I don't think that they can avoid that. I think he has it in his blood, because he's already trying to create little stores and shops, and he's only in 2nd grade. So yeah.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, he's got his menu list of things that he wants to sell, and he's all on top of that.
Well, your kid sounds like me when I was a kid. I had a lemonade stand. I was all about business when I don't know how old I was, but it was around that age. And it was just in my blood. It was in my DNA. You know, I had one regular job out of college, and I can see that your kids will probably never have a regular job.
Well, that's right there is another connection, another way that you
Correct.
bridged it. Yeah.
Correct. So when you're talking, and why I wanted to change my question to make it more specific, and one of the main things that I forgot to mention, but I want to mention it here, for rapport building, I'd keep it more on the personal side. How can you get to know them from more of a personal level instead of just going, well, how many kids do you have? Oh, okay. You know, like just the surface. We just got really deep with Scott in a very short amount of time. We know about the YouTube. We know his kids in second grade. Like, I didn't even need to ask any of those questions because I brought in a business question, but then I made it more specific about him personally on how that or what he could do with his family, because I know his kids are so important to him. So when you're building rapport and thinking about this tip for setting up your communication to win, it's a key ingredient. This is the most missed ingredient I've seen with firm owners. If you skip over this, you are not unique and different, and you're just like everyone else. So I would say practice. You can practice with your significant others. You can practice with people at your office and make it a conscious effort, maybe 15 minutes, you know, once a week or twice a week. But to practice building rapport type questions and how can you have a connection point.
So when you said you're not unique, you're like everybody else by not doing this, I think that's
Correct.
also something that I've always thought. It's like, I'm going to be different, so I'm going to do it my way. And that's actually not even different. That's the same as everybody else by not doing the work.
Most people don't build rapport, you know, with most firm owners. It's like we're taking meeting to meeting. You have a client. Well, what do you charge for bookkeeping? Okay, well, let me get you a proposal or let me get you a quote. And we don't really talk about this in-depth stuff.
That was the essence of what I was doing, and I didn't know how to articulate that, and I didn't know what my team wasn't doing in sales because they were just focused on what are we going to, like, why
what
didn't
are we
you
going to
ask
do for them? What's the proposal? What's the quote? Did they sign the engagement letter? Did they not? It's very transactional.
Oh, very.
Remember, if you want to get on the varsity team, it's about the relationship and that you establish.
Yeah. So that's a big unlock too, because they would always comment on my sales calls and like, why are you so personal with everybody and asking them deep questions when you're supposed to be getting the information? We can't make a proposal now because you're just, and because they were reviewing my sales calls to try to put that together after. And I somehow would always be able to put a proposal together after a call, but they're reviewing my calls and they can't do it because I didn't ask the specific ones. And then they're doing calls and just asking those specific questions and not getting to the heart of the matter. Like I can
I have
understand.
a whole nother solution for that. That's a whole nother podcast we're going to talk about.
Yeah. But it's like, but you got to really understand the person and understand what motivates them and understand.
Yeah.
And you can't do that without having a real conversation with them.
Yeah. And you have to just relax, smile, be yourself, and really think about maybe for your mindset to think about, what if I put myself in their shoes? How would I want if roles were reversed? What would that look like? So in this example of what we've been doing with rapport, where you're like, oh, I could talk for so long about my question. I'm like, okay, just give it to me in a minute for today's purposes. You want to just listen more and talk less. You want the other person to talk a lot. You want them to just keep talking and for you to take copious notes and really listen for the connection points throughout the whole sales conversation, but specifically in building rapport. And be really interested and curious about their life because that's why they're going to hire you.
I didn't even realize these are things that I was doing that I could now like talk about or articulate. I was never able to articulate this. This is dope.
Yeah. So those are the steps and the main ingredients, I guess you could call it, for you to have varsity level communication to get on that team.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuance to it too. It's not just communicating like we're going to be on a Zoom call or we're going to be on the
Nope.
phone or in person. It's not that.
Not at
how
all.
you communicate. Well, it is about how you communicate, but it's also like, yeah, this is a different way of approaching a conversation and
Yes.
looking to really get to know the person.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
not, yeah. So what's some of the biggest objections for people like to get to doing this? Like, you know, they say they're just going to do their thing and they're just like everybody else, but what are some others?
I think from the most part, to be honest, Scott, from what I've heard from firm owners, is that you just didn't know. You weren't taught sales. You weren't taught the science. You just said, I want to start a firm. And, you know, so I have to talk to a client. You're very to the point. You're here to get work done. And that's it. And then once you get to the point where you're like, I have so many clients, but I don't have the money that I feel I should have in the bank account for the work I'm doing, or until you feel like, I feel like I'm working 5, 6, 7 days a week, 8, 10, 12, 14-hour days, and you have accounts receivable that's piling on, and you have a lot of other challenges at hand. And when you hit that kind of point, then you're like, oh, I have a problem. And these are some of the little tweaks to fix your sales problems. So I think a lot of it's just like you just didn't know. But it's not your fault, because when you're getting your EA, your CPA, none of this is taught.
No.
All you're taught is technical abilities. But you can't help someone get out of a tax resolution mess and get paid well for it if you can't communicate the value that you deliver in having them hire you to get them out of the mess they're in with the IRS or whatever it may be, or QuickBooks cleaning project. Most of your clients are fixated on price. That's how the industry has taught clients to look at this stuff. You know, it's very similar to, oh, well, you know, if I go on Amazon, I want, you know, my vitamin D, I could get this vitamin D, that vitamin D, and you're counting ounces and how many pills are in a bottle. It's like, we're all unique and different and individual. We should never be compared to each other. And there's just too much on this industry of quoting prices and doing all these things that ruin a relationship-based selling process. So I'm here to teach it.
I love that. Everybody's unique
Yep.
and different.
And your
that's-
prices shouldn't be dictated. Like, the other thing I hear all the time is that people's prices, a lot of firm owners go, well, I just called the other firms in my area and made my price based on that. And I'm like, that's probably the worst idea you could ever do. Or you take that price and lower it a little bit. It's like now you're allowing your clients to be and have those kinds of buying behaviors, which is a
Yeah.
really bad idea for you to grow a profitable firm that you love with high quality clients, not too much volume, higher quality, and have a varsity squad yourself of clientele. That's like ruining it. So I'm here to stop that process so you can have the firm that you've always dreamt of, and that you can have lots of monthly recurring revenue, you can have lovely clients, and you can get paid really well for it.
Getting paid. That's what we're all about too.
Yeah.
Getting paid well. So this is great. This was another step toward making the varsity team.
Yeah, and our next one is sort of what we're alluding to earlier, is collecting the right information.
Ooh, yeah. Good teaser. Good teaser for the next one, because it may not be what you think.
Yep.
It may not be what you think. That's what it so far has been with each one of these is there's something on there on the surface. This is what you're supposed to do. But then there's a lot of nuances and there's building the rapport. And I don't think that gets enough. You know, there's so many ways to go into that. And I love the way you put it, because it's picking up on the subtle nuances, and the art of it is there is no one particular roadmap to take on a conversation. The conversation takes on a life of its own. The science is knowing which things to hone in on
Yes.
after they've said it, and which direction that you can take it to.
Yeah.
And being
So true.
specific. I love that. Cool. Well, thanks, Michelle. This was another
Thank you for having me.
Another great entry into the book of how to make varsity.
That's all I'm about. On a winning team and varsity and part of the starting squad.
Dope. All right. Peace out.
May I have your attention, please?
Yeah, OKR is in the house. Yeah, OKR is in the house.
Accounting High.
From cloud accountancy way back to desktop accounting advisory and tech apps adopt. Went solo with the rap, Scotty's still the same. Raleigh is the spot where I edutain. Like, share, connect, comment, follow this. And subscribe to our podcast. Next one we drop, cause you know it don't stop. It's 24/7 on the Accounting Highlight. TikTok clips don't watch, just some shitty tax talk. Cleaning up accounting with a bucket and a mop. Then we lean back and nod, cause the class is about to start at Accounting High. Scotty, OKR.